Opportunity to share my experience with you. My name is Garry. I am the Problem Manager at Northumbrian Water, and the presentation is about problem management and a shoestring. It's a journey of problem management at Northumbrian Water. I know we're sort of running out of time and we're a bit quick, so I might fly through a few slides. Try and get you back on track because I'm a nice guy. I also wander up and down. It's the only exercise I get. We'll cover off sort of who we are, what information services and NWG do, history of problem, some of the things we're into in terms of starting the problem management process again, some of the changes we make and how we define success, and some questions at the end. So who are Northumbrian Water Group? Well, we cover essentially two areas, Essex and Suffolk in the south and Northumbrian Water in the northeast of England. We cover a very large geographic area, and we do so with 3,200 staff. I've actually found out yesterday we're going to lose about 200 to a voluntary severance scheme. So it's coming down a bit. About 2,300 to north, 900 south. We have about 16,000 miles of water main, 18,500 miles of sewer. And we deliver 1.2 billion litres of water every single day to regions, and that's to 4.5 million customers across 1.2 million properties. We don't just deliver it, we take it away as well. Company vision is really quite simple. We want to be the national leader. We want to be the best that there is. And that vision is underpinned by 5 core values. The people that work for us, the customers that we serve, the competitiveness of the product, how much value do we deliver to our customers for their water bills, the environment that we work in. We look after some of the most precious environments in the country, and that includes the likes of Kielder in the north. We've got some very protected areas in the south around the Norfolk Broads, and the communities that we serve. Just about every single one of our staff lives and works in an area, and they're a customer of our business. They need our water. But we've undergone a massive cultural change, and this is where the water companies share something with you as higher education institutions, the universities and the colleges. We are institutions. We have been around for a very long time. We have people with 50, 60 years of service. We have people who've been with us since the age of 14. Well, actually, one of our systems wasn't even designed to have somebody, our HR system wasn't designed to have somebody with 50 years of service, and that created issues for us. We've also got staff who are very, very clever and very intelligent, very smart at what we do, and sometimes we just hide them away in a corner because you don't want them to go and talk to your customers. It's the best place for them. But we had to go under this massive, massive change because you are an institution. Because you have got very fixed ways of working, you need to change. You need to look out towards the world rather than in the little companies that you are. Information services, here we are. We call ourselves information services because we are not an information technology department. Technology is a tool that we use to deliver the service to our customers. Our customers don't care how they get it, they just want something that actually works. So we call ourselves information services. We're known as IS. When you're called IS, an IS department, that has a bit of a branding issue. We have a billing system called ISIS. We actually have somebody. Yeah, okay, you're catching on. I have to be careful. I'm trying not to swear, actually. I get into trouble for saying. But we actually have got somebody employed and said, okay, what's your job? He says, I support ISIS. And this poor guy, lovely guy, but he's like, I support ISIS. Oh, God. It's changing. It's changing. So, who are we? Well, within our IS department, we've got about 160 odd staff now. We're supporting 3,200 staff. We support 1,500 contractors who help us deliver the service to our customers. And our customers are the people who turn on the taps. You turn on the tap, you get clean, clear drinking water, you flush a toilet, and it's all taken away. We work in a 5-year plan, and by 2020, we will have delivered about £10 million worth of investment. Within IS, we have approximately, it's now down to about 50 staff. working solely on service management, and that includes me. We are a 3-star SDI certified service desk. We are the first utility company to gain SDI certification. Now, I know that there are a couple of service desks, I think St Andrews are in here, who have got a 4-star service desk. That is our aspiration, and there's nothing wrong with being aspirational. We love the SDI. The SDI have been very good to us. Although that said, there's a couple of people in here who went to the SDI conference and actually won one of their awards, and you defeated my SDA. My service desk analyst lost to you. I don't know where she is. Yeah, I'll find you. I was told, be nice to her, be nice to her. So we've recently undergone another restructure, and we now have a service and support team in place. And I'm one of 4 people that make up our service and support leadership team. And that's very much focused on the customer experience as well. A couple of points there at the bottom. Major incidents. I am the major incident manager when one kicks off. In 2014, we had a major incident about once every 3 weeks. 2014, we got that down to 5. I consider that to be a win. I think it's a massive success. And a major incident is something, as you know, that has a massive impact on your business and prevents business from taking place. Big win. 2016, not so good. We're actually up at 5 already. We had 3 in May, down to one of our third-party suppliers. We've got a little bit of an investigation ongoing to understand why and whether I can be a bit creative with the numbers. But if it's 5, it's 5. So be it. And again, problem, I also look after CSI and known errors. Problem management. So, short history as to where we started. 8 years ago, somebody said, let's do ITIL. Yeah, okay. Yep, little murmur, yeah, let's do ITIL, fantastic. Great idea. ITIL is a wonderful thing. ITIL can actually develop and deliver a lot to you as an organisation. And at the time when he brought it in, it was the right thing to do. It was fit for purpose. But this was in 2007. Came in, we were a very, very different department in terms of the size, in terms of the customer expectations as well, in terms of what we could actually deliver. In fact, even where they're based, the IS department at the time was based in a porta cabin. It was bolted onto the building. So it wasn't a massive function as far as the business was concerned, and ITIL seemed like a really good thing to do. But it did, like everything else, it kind of lost its way. It became a second-line support function. The problem manager at the time was a very technical person. He liked big, hairy spreadsheets as well. He liked to get his fingers dirty, get in there. Very technical. Customers, I'll find out. I'll go and talk to them at some point. Who cares? So give me the Excel, give me Word, give me something to work with. I'll deal with the customer later. And so as a result, problem management got lost in the wider business. It wasn't visible. The last point there, continual improvement. Continual improvement. There wasn't anything. We had no continual improvement. We had no way of actually recording some of the changes that were needed. I will say, by the way, Kath, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, this isn't what I heard the first time, I make this up as I go along. Bear with me. So, over that 6 years, problem management lost its way, and in 2013, the problem manager decided that he wanted to be a database administrator. I know why he did. Having been in the job for 3 years, I know exactly why he wanted to go off and do it. So I took over in 2013. My background is customer service, knowledge management, and information management. And it seemed like a really good idea at the time. I asked my wife that question, why did you marry me? It seemed like a good idea at the time. Story of my life. And I faced a number of challenges at the very, very start. And again, as a customer person coming in and looking at it, it's difficult. We are a water company. Our customer, you're customers of water companies. You want to turn on the tap and you want to flush your toilets. We're a water company. We are not an IT company. But our data centres, we now have 2 quite large data centres, and we have one smaller one in the south. We don't need that. That's not what we do as a business. It's not our core business. Customer demands were changing as well. And this is something that you as universities and colleges will recognise. You have a fresh intake of new blood every year. You have got people who are more technologically savvy than you or I may ever be in our lifetimes. And your customers will sit there and they'll go home and they'll get super fast broadband and they'll have smartphones. And they'll think, actually, yeah, I can download the movies. Everything is on demand. Tap of a button. I can order a taxi. Fantastic. They expect the same service when we are. Just a very quick show of hands here. 2007, how many of you had a smartphone? So a small number. 2016, how many of you have a smartphone? Yeah. So that's how quickly life moves on. So I very quickly realised that problem management had become the service that IS wanted, not what the customer needed. It wasn't delivering the customer service. There wasn't that focus on what is it the customer actually wants to get out of it. And again, we had this constant process of change within IS. Change is not a bad thing. Change is a fantastic thing. Change will actually take you places that are new and exciting. When you have too much of it and it's too quick, you hit problems. You get stuck, you scare people off. And we've had as part of that change, two larger structures, a couple of smaller ones, and we've just gone through a small one again. Challenging years, the teenage years. We have a number of legacy issues, and I'm going to be quite honest and quite open with you. I've got nothing to hide. I did not deal with them in the best way possible. There's no point in hiding from your mistakes. If you make a mistake, face up to it. Business relationship managers, do we have any in the room? Right, okay, you might want to leave. Business BRMs. BRMs would come to me, business relationship managers. Oh, Gary, I've been speaking to so-and-so. He's got a problem with such and such. Can you fix it? He does. It's the first I've heard of it. We had a bunch of BRMs who wanted to shortcut the process. Who thought by ignoring the service desk and by just listening to some of the anecdotal tales that our customers were telling us, they would get things done. Became frustrating. Because every day somebody comes and say, has this happened? Has this happened? Can you do this? Can you do this? No. You take away, you're forcing me to focus on something that isn't actually important when you look at it. Dumping ground, for instance, that seemed too hard. Engineers. Yeah, try to fix it, can't fix it. It's broken. It's back to Garry. It's too hard. I can't do it. Really, really frustrating. We pay our IS engineers, our analysts, and our developers a lot of money to come up with solutions. So to sit there and say, no, it's too hard. It's not good enough. But it's a cultural thing. Problem management was still seen as a second-line technical role. So I had the legacy issues of my predecessor to contend with, and I did not deal with them in the best way possible. Should have. Hindsight, wonderful thing. I'm not going to sit and cry about it now. But yeah, people in IS still saw it as a second-line role. And your attitudes and culture. Problem, not my problem. Simple as that. Horrendous. Budget. Budget for problem management at Northumbrian Water is my salary. So if problem management doesn't work, I'm out of a job. That's what it comes down to. My salary has to be justified every year. Resource, it's just me. I don't have a team of problem analysts that I can set to work on specific problems. I have to fight for the same resource that everyone else is clamouring for. We had no clear direction. There's no point in saying, this is where we're going to go. Just pointing someone off in a direction and going, go that way. You'll get there. We didn't know where we were actually going. So as I say, the very last 2 points, the value that I bring to the organisation wasn't actually there. It was very limited in terms of impact. And problem management, quite frankly, was a problem. I was a problem. It's a wonderful question, this. Do you want to be happy? I am a great believer in happiness. Happiness is a wonderful thing. You spend 40, 45 hours every single week at work. You should be happy at what you're doing. And I can count in two hands the number of days in the past 8 years that I have not wanted to go into work, because I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. I really do enjoy it. But it's that question, do you want to be happy? Little spreadsheet there, or flowchart. Do you want to be happy? Or are you happy? Yes, keep doing what you're doing. Are you happy? No. Do you want to be happy? No, keep doing what you're doing. Do you want to be happy? Yes, then change something. Go and do something different. There was a lot of unhappiness around. I wasn't happy. The team wasn't happy. The department wasn't happy with problem management. And more importantly, the customer wasn't happy with problem management. So something was broken. Something really had to change. So late last year, we sat down and he said, you know what? Let's just rip it up. Let's just start again. We looked at what we were doing as a problem management function, and where it sat, and how we went about it, and the processes, policies, procedures, and so on, and decided, actually, you know what? It's not working. We just have to stop what we're doing. It is an acceptance at that point that something has to change. Now, I've got a point down there. The theme of your sort of 2 or 3 days here is through the looking glass, how you can learn from the outside influences and bring it back into higher education. We rejoined the IT SMF, the IT Service Management Forum. And that gave me access to a wide array of people of different backgrounds, experience and knowledge, and it was absolutely fantastic. Suddenly, these doors opened up to me, and I had access to wisdom and knowledge that I did not have access to before. And we started again. But the process of starting over, actually saying this is what we're going to do and doing it, are two very different things. First of all, we set out some ground rules. Bin it all. It's like I'll probably appeal to some of you in here. If you have a piece of clothing in your wardrobe that you haven't worn for the best part of 12 months, do you still need it? No, you don't. Bin it. Throw it out. Same with a process and a policy. Unless it's a yearly process and policy, of course that's different, but otherwise, if it's not being used, why do you need it? And we asked ourselves, what would problem management actually look like? What would a great problem management function look like? So we started with the end goal and decided we're going to work backwards. But we do so by accepting the constraints that are there. The constraints being, there is only one problem manager, the budget is my salary, and I have no resource. We also had to face a shrinking workforce, actually. As people, we have our workforce, our demographic is quite old. It sits very much high in the high sort of 50s into the 60s. And we have to face the fact that we're going to lose some of them as well. Write myself out the process. If I am the problem, why should I be in that process? So we try and simplify it as much as possible. And the reason that we simplify is so that anybody can pick it up. Anyone can come in and say, I can do problem management. Somebody so calls up, one of our service desk analysts gets it, follows the process, fantastic. It works. Simplify, simplify, simplify. Fantastic. Engineers love things to be complicated. If I asked an engineer to write a process, I'd come out with 20 pages to get from A to B, kind of thing. And use plain English. You know, we work in an industry that loves its jargon, it loves its acronyms. If you can abbreviate something, damn it, I'm going to abbreviate it. OMG, LMAO, call it what you will. I'll give you an example. Before I came down to this role, moved from Glasgow to Durham, I worked for myself. And there's a company I worked with, a construction company, just outside Glasgow. And they called me in and they said, Garry, we're having this problem. We have these pieces of equipment called portable or personal earth-moving implements. All right, okay, fantastic. He said, but the crews aren't happy, right? And I'm thinking, personal earth-moving implement, it's going to be a digger on tracks. I might just get to play with this. The guy brought out a spade. And I looked at him, and as I said, I'm trying not to swear, but I swore. And he said, oh, I can't call it a spade. I said, well, that's just ridiculous. No wonder you're getting laughed at. It is a spade. It is not an earth-moving implement. That is its function. It's a bloody spade. So keep it simple. Keep that language clean. And the clearer it is, the simpler the language, the more likely you are to be understood. Don't overthink things. Again, comes back to engineers. Engineers love to overthink things. I'm surprised some of them got through life so easily. But we do. We overthink things. One of the reasons that Google is not my friend, real life scenario, this one. How many people here from the north are from the northeast? Just a show of hands. How many of you drive up and down the A1 on a daily basis and see the water treatment works at Lumley? Yeah. So it's a nice big white dome on top of the hill. It's a treatment works. Sits on top of the hill, has a pumping station at the river down below. It's about 400 or 500 metres away. Water comes from the pumping station to the treatment works and down. And we have SCADA. We have telemetry that tells us how much water is coming in, how much water we need, state of the water. But they had problems with the signal. It's a point-to-point connection. So one of our engineers went away, Googled it, came back, said, oh, we need to do this, 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 and this, and I need to do some overtime on a Sunday as well. Right, how much? About £6,000 to fix the scenario. Okay. Go to site. Went to site with him. Went up a ladder, looked down the ladder, looked downhill, see the pumping station, down to pumping station, up a ladder, looked up the hill, could see the treatment works, looked down. The dishes for the point-to-point connection, the line-of-sight connection, were about 7 or 8 feet lower, and there was a tree in the way. And I'm thinking, right, okay, you're overthinking this. This is why I don't like Google, because the first things he said were, Google said this. Very simple. Went to our facilities management, went back out 2 weeks later with a man with a chainsaw, cut down the tree. Simple. Don't overthink it. And don't be scared to say no. We don't say no often enough in life. We should say it more. Part of me is wishing I said no to Kath now, but nah. And what do we need Problem to do? Back to this, what does great look like? Well, it should be customer focused. We should look outside our little world of IS. And it comes back to the point that Ailey made earlier about collaboration. And collaboration, not conflict. Interdependent teams, not independent teams. We love to work in silos. Some of our developers are so hell-bent on keeping their knowledge to themselves, it is painful, it's difficult. And it should be a responsive function, not reactive. So actually I'm just moving it more into the proactive problem management area. And we challenge those attitudes. We say, right, okay, I know you find this difficult, I know you're not able to solve it, but how do we work with you with that? How do you sit down with a problem and see that as a challenge, as something to actually be conquered and something to be resolved? Coming back to simplifying the language, no single points of failure or expertise. I do have a bugbear about this. I'm not allowed to call them single points of failure. They're supposed to be single points of success. Unfortunately, if you've got one person and he has an ego and he discovers that he is that single point of success, that ego just expands and it becomes even harder to address. If you have one person and that person goes off sick, that is a failure. At best, I'll compromise on expertise. And we said we're going to drop the root cause fixation. We want things to get working, keep it working. We want to find that root cause eventually, but it shouldn't be the focus of everything. And we make the right people responsible as well. And then we come to the role itself as a problem manager. I don't know if anyone can see it. I like that cartoon. User calls with an issue, problem manager drops the user off the building. if I could, I remember looking at a conversation, I think it was on LinkedIn. Can you put down the end user as the root cause of a problem? Yes, you bloody well can. So I constantly now sit and say, right, okay, I want to think, where am I going to be in 12 to 18 months' time? What is it going to look like and feel like? And it should be customer focused with teeth. Problem manager should be able to get involved and go in there and actually shout where needed, stamp his feet, get things done. A fairly decent balance between reactive and proactive problem management. And that proactive problem management is really continuous service improvement. The CSI is proactive problem management by another name. As I say, it shouldn't block the process, it should help it flow, and it should have clout. Clout is a great word. It just means bigger boots. Bringing in, again, sort of the CSI, proactive problem management, they're not mutually exclusive. When you're in a small organisation like we are, you have to wear different hats. At one point I was wearing the problem management hat, non-error hat, CSI hat, incident management hat, MI hat as well, and for a small period of time recently, the cab hat as well. And I said, right, I want ownership for the CSI written into my job description. Make me accountable for CSI within the business. And that allows me to identify what the commonalities between the problems we have and some of our CSI actions. We can build the process together. They should be complementary as well in the way that they flow. A couple of easy ones there. Look for the quick wins and involve the same people. Proactive problem management, CSI, is much more positive than problem management. And it's business-led. Going back to the SDI certification side of it, from our perspective, it should be business-led. If anyone, and I say this, if anyone has an idea, we will capture it. In fact, even this morning, walking around the exhibition, talking to a few of you, I've come away with 3 or 4 ideas that actually are damn good ideas, and I'm thinking, I can use that. I can take that back, and I can do something with that. So be on the lookout for those opportunities. And lastly, but most importantly, involve the customer. Problem management isn't here for IS. Problem management is here for your customer. It's a form of complaint. It's about making sure things work and get working. So again, we said we're going to promote it. We're going to be more open, about honest about things that go wrong and things that go right. And we'll build that relationship on trust. And that means going back to you as business relationship managers and actually saying, this is what we can do. This is what I need you to do in return. Explain what can go on. Our BRMs have a habit of saying, oh, that's nice and shiny, I'll have that. And I'm sure some of you have come across the same issue. iPhone 6, fantastic, I'll have that. Great. iPhone 5s, we've done the same with iPhone 5s, we put out 1,600 iPhones into our business. Our mobile workforce have got big, thick fingers. If you've tried using an iPhone 5 keypad with thick fingers and thick thumbs, it doesn't work. We share our successes and our failures, but we're never afraid to say no. So what the customer has to say is important, but sometimes the customer is wrong. The customer isn't always right. So with that background, we decided to make a change, because everyone loves change. We've made some actually damn big changes. We've done pretty well. Simplified the policy and the process. When I said that I ripped it up, I ripped it up. I went in with bin bags and a shredder and confidential waste bags, and I threw everything out. Even now, I still come across a piece of paper that's 12 months old, hasn't been touched, it gets binned. It is brand new from the bottom up. We introduced governance. So we've got a problem management review board now, and what we do is that looks at all the new open problems that come in and says, are we going to allocate the right resource in investigating that? Sometimes it's a yes, sometimes it's a no, but we can go back to the customer now and say, yeah, we're not going to do that. Causes a bit of grief. Another reason why I don't like Google. I love Google. Google makes an expert of everyone. I closed down an incident for somebody. I said, right, he's up and running, fantastic. Closed it down. And then I got a phone call and said, why have you closed this down? It's a problem. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Are you sure? It's definitely a problem. He said, well, I Googled it, and Google says this. Definition in ITIL of a problem is the root cause of one or more incidents. And that one or more, it's that one that causes the issue. So this person was adamant that because he had an incident and because we hadn't found the root cause, that was going to be a problem. And he argued until he was blue in the face with me. And he then took that up to our line manager and said, this should be a problem. And our line manager said, no, it's not a problem. He took it back up with one of our senior leaders and said, this should be a problem. Because Google says it's one or more incidents and it's a root cause and you haven't found the root cause, blah-de-da-de-da. Fortunately, at that point, he went, no, it's not. And that's why I don't like, this is why I don't like Google. It makes an expert of everyone, which is fantastic. You carry around a computer in your pocket that gives you access to all of the world's knowledge. But it's having the context and the understanding for using that properly. And it goes back to the engineer that wanted to spend thousands on a solution. It's about being practical. You need the context. You need to understand where it is. We've made the right people responsible. In the past, our engineers were responsible for resolving problems. But I was fighting for that resource. So what I've done is moved the responsibility up a bit to team leaders and said, you're responsible. You fix it. And it's amazing how many things get done when you make the right people responsible for it. If at the end of every month I say, Scott has got 5 problems. In the past 30 days, Scott has resolved no problems. Somebody above Scott is going to say, why haven't you done it? It's not Gary's responsibility. Gary's there to kick your butt if you don't get it done. But why haven't you done it? We provide clarity on what is and isn't a problem. Simple one. Is it? Yes? No? Fantastic. And we redefined how we prioritise problems. So what we look at now is the risk of reoccurrence versus the impact of reoccurrence. Now, if you've got a very high risk of reoccurrence and the impact is going to be significant, it's a P1 problem. It makes categorising them, makes prioritising them a lot simpler. And I actually went through all of our open problems and got rid of about 50%. So there were 50, actually no, it's not true. 50% are about P1s, P2s, move them down to about P3, P4s. They can go to the back of the queue. Problems part of the change process. I sit on the cab and I have stopped projects before. I've stopped some of our big projects because some of the issues just weren't addressed. I'm accountable for CSI and I've aligned the appraisals. So we've got a clear alignment as to who does what in terms of roles and responsibilities. What's next? In the past 4 weeks, we've created 2 new roles. The new team. So I've got a quality and performance role that sits alongside me in the leadership team. We have a new user experience team. We've brought our infrastructure support and our service desk together, and that one has gone down like a ton of bricks. They do not like it. They're going to like it even less because in about 3 or 4 weeks' time, I'm going to change the seating plan. So at the moment, you might have the service desk over here, infrastructure support over there, no more. We're actually going to sit both teams in with one another. And that will allow better communication, better cross-training and sharing of knowledge. They won't be happy, tough. It's not what they want, it's what our customer needs. That's what's important. We focus now on OLAs rather than SLAs, especially in problem. An OLA is much more accountable, we find. We find it's easier to use and hold people to task. We're outsourcing our infrastructure in 2017. And the point that Eileen made earlier about the database lock, 6 hours for a database lock, I'm dreading that happening. At the moment, I can stand up, turn to our database admins and say, hey, we've got this. Within 30 minutes, it's fixed. The thought of a 6-hour response time terrifies me. But I'll deal with it when it comes along. I'm not able to change it, but I can influence it. We're also looking at our P2 incidents much, much more closely. And that's how we brought our major incident figure down. We made a start, and we saw a drop of 12. By dedicating some actual time and resource to that, I'm pretty sure I can get down from 5 a year to potentially 3. We identify the true value. We put monetary figures, and we're starting to work out monetary figures on our problems. And we're telling the story. We're actually saying, this is what we're doing, and this is what we're bringing. So how do I define success? Success is my P45. Success is me on that beach somewhere, sitting in a hammock, drinking very expensive whiskey, reading good books, and not having to worry about problems. If I can manufacture, if I can engineer my way out of a job, fantastic. As I said, problem management, reactive problem management should only be a small part of it. And in a company our size, I don't believe that it's a full-time role. I'm quite open and honest about it. I will question my value to the company if I was running the company. I do it every day. Success is a responsive, again, not a reactive function, because at the moment it has been very reactive. But it should be forward-thinking, it should be involved, and it should have sway and influence across all of IS. It should be able to respond to changes in society. And measure our customer satisfaction. We are really big now on our CSAT scores. We do that for our service desk calls. Why should we not do that for problem management? If our customers are happy with the problems service, fantastic. If I've got 5 open problems, my CSAT scores are abysmal, I'm doing something wrong. If I have 100 open problems and my CSAT scores are exceptionally high, I'm doing something right. So it's not about the number of open problems, it's about the quality of service that people are receiving. So I'm a no-brainer for problem, a drop in repeat incidents. And again, there's been a couple of things this morning through speaking to your exhibitors and to yourselves that I've thought, I can fix something there. I can fix some of our repeat calls. And again, it's a value to the business. Customer satisfaction is a big one. Excuse me. Whenever I'm down in London, I stay in a place called Hotel 42. Hotel 42 is wonderful. And at the end of every stay, it asks customers and guests to rate the service out of 10. If you score it anything less than a 10, they want to know why. They don't expect anything less than a 10. And actually, I think we should do the same. From my perspective, I want to do the same within problem management, within service management at Northumbrian Water, to say our customers should expect a 10, and if they're not giving us a 10, why not? We have a new system in terms of customer. So our external contact centres now get scored out of 5 on the spot, and the average score is about 4.7, and that's fantastic. And they're using innovation as well. Just as an aside, in terms of customer satisfaction, the area that we work in, I believe that IS, information technology, the people that we work with, we should be amongst the most creative and most innovative and passionate people about changing society, about changing the business we work in. We are at the cutting edge of technology. We should be able to identify those trends and those changes that are going to bring good to our business, and we do so to increase that customer satisfaction. One way we've done that already, there's a product called BombGar, remote access tool. It wasn't being used in IS properly, but we actually said we can use it for our customers. So in the past 4 weeks, our customer contact centres have been given BombGar, and if a technician goes out to investigate a leak or a problem, they can use their phone with BombGar to view that leak in real time, get it sent back to their contact centres, and somebody can make a decision. We've already saved about £1,000 a week. That is fantastic, that is innovation, and that is what IS should be doing. It should be coming up with solutions to improve that customer satisfaction. So, some great plans. That's my view at the top, reality at the bottom. I'd love to come back in 12 months' time and tell you how successful we've been. But that is the journey that we've been on. And the takeaways, if you will, from the session, don't be afraid to say you've got it wrong. Don't be afraid to look outside at what's around you. Take every opportunity you can to learn something new. I could ask every single one of you in this room something, and I would learn something new from each of you. We've all got something to share, and that is the biggie. It's about being out there, being open to questions, being open-minded, and being curious. Any questions? No? Fantastic.